All right, guys. Hello and welcome back. Hope y'all are having a good week. I am having a week. I don't know what I classify it as yet. Yeah, last week was good, but I didn't enter the week with, some. I was busy all week, which is really a good feeling when I am unemployed to feel busy. But I didn't go into the week knowing what I wanted to tackle and leave the week feeling accomplished. I kind of left the week being like, what did I do all week? I felt busy, but what did I do? So this week, I really wanted to try to tackle the week a little bit differently, and I entered the week with quite a big to-do list, starting on Monday with recording the podcast, and then it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Y'all, you should be glad right now that I have deleted that whole thing. I haven't deleted it yet, just in case this one fails today as well, but I'm feeling a lot more hopeful about it. Honestly, on Monday when I had recorded, I wasn't in a good, or I didn't believe in the outline that I wrote. I had already planned what I was going to talk about that day, and you could just tell, as I'm editing it, I was like, well, as I was recording it, I was thinking, what the F am I saying, the whole time? And then once I was editing it, I was just like, this is not usable. I can just tell just how little I'm into it. So here we are, take two. And one of the reasons why it was terrible was just that it turned into this spiral instead of it being which is I'm okay with showing up and being pretty in the moment and vulnerable with y'all. But at the same time, after it, just listening back, I was like, this is not the headspace I want to be in. And this is not what I want to create from. I am feeling like maybe I'm a little bit in a writer's block or creative block right now. I'm hitting towards that 10 episode mark, and I'm kind of reevaluating everything. But I think that just comes along with my life stage right now where I am reevaluating everything. And so on Monday, trying to just hop into an episode and convince myself that the outline that I'd written was going to work no matter what. You could just tell in the delivery, it was bad. So here we are, take two. We are revisiting the topic with a much clearer perspective, which the topic today is, as you'll see from the title, is when home is in two places and learning not to spiral about it. Because as I said on Monday when I tried to record this, the whole thing was, I don't know what it was, but a lot of it was centered around this spiral. And the thing is, as an expat, you are going to love likely many places, depending on where you've lived and how many places you've lived, but likely wherever you're living now, plus wherever you grew up and wherever the majority of your friends and family are. And each will feel like home in a very different way. So I think as expats, there is this tension of belonging to two places, but never fully to one. You always feel like you're never fully whole because there are just two sides to you and two homes or multiple homes. The reason why this topic had kind of turned into a spiral for me last episode was I feel like this push and pull between two different places is always kind of bubbling under the surface. But then whenever life transitions happen or whenever big changes happen, that kind of bubbles to the surface, and there is this pressure all of a sudden to figure it all out, even though you should really just hit the brake and stop for a moment and not let yourself spiral out of control down this rabbit hole. A lot of times I find that it's the small choices, so booking my flights to Texas or job uncertainty, that they just start to trigger bigger existential life questions. Whenever one area of life is uncertain, then everything else can wobble so easily as well, and it's just like this domino effect. My theory is that as an expat, your ability to get knocked off kilter is just that much easier. Your experiences, your surroundings, the way you interact with people, everything is still a little bit foreign to you. So something that might be really small can just really throw you off in a way that it might not if you were living in your home country. So with that in mind, I do see this pattern of how getting laid off has now triggered so many more other small thoughts. And then all of a sudden, this pressure of being like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out everything. I need to figure out what we're doing in 5 years and 10 years from now. And it's just like this pressure pot that all kind of bubbled over when I had recorded the episode on Monday. After I recorded that episode, I was trying to edit it and then was just really not convinced. But then I went on a walk and I was talking to my mom, and I was just kind of going over some of the things that, I was feeling stuck. And I also just talked to her personally about how some stuff that she had been saying recently was kind of like rubbing me the wrong way and frustrating me. And one of those things was the fact that I just feel like sometimes I get the question of like, so what's next? Like, what's the plan? Are you okay? And I realized through the conversation with her, we had a really good conversation, and it ended up just being like realizing that the more that I talk about being stressed and unsure and like projecting this, the more that people reinforce that idea and kind of mirror it back to me. So when my whole episode on Monday is me spiraling about like, where are we going to live in 10 years? Then of course, naturally, that's what people want to talk to me about then. And that's the kind of like conversations that come up. And as I said, like I want to be open and honest and vulnerable. And that's what this podcast is for connecting with people who are in a similar life situation as me and feeling like you're not alone. But I don't want it to center on my stress. That's not what I want defining me. And when an episode turns into just a spiral instead of like calming down for a second, I'm even tired of hearing myself on repeat of being stressed about this. And I think it's something that any expat is going to relate to, is feeling like you have two homes and maybe being okay with that. But then whenever something in life happens that puts you off kilter, then you can just spiral so fast about everything and about needing to figure it out. But the thing is, that feeling of having a home in two places, it's always going to exist no matter how long you've lived abroad. And so it's always accessible to go to that place where you start spiraling about it and start second guessing everything and feeling like you need to have everything figured out. And what I'm trying to do now is pump the brakes and be like, wait, okay, where am I now? What are we doing now? And I think I've kind of touched on this in previous episodes, not necessarily about when home is in two different places, but just in trying to not need a plan for the next 10 years. But this feeling of home being in two different places, I think is like so amplified. It really makes you want to make a 10-year plan because you're like, well, I have to make sense of this feeling. I have to make sense of this mess of myself not being at home in one place and forever feeling like I'm never going to feel fully settled where I am, because there's always a different version of me as well. In terms of hitting the brakes though, okay, so where am I now? Well, I'm still unemployed. I'm figuring that out slowly. I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next. I am living in Helsinki for now, and I'm trying to find peace in that for today, and this being where I am, and trying to create small anchors and routines that make this version of life full where I am today without stressing about, well, what does that mean 5 months from now? As an example, one of the things that I had brought up with my mom was that we have now been living in our apartment for 2.5 years, and we have one picture printed. We have nothing hung on the walls. We have the furniture that we bought on day one when we moved in, which was like the most basic furniture that we needed. And we were thinking like, we'll just start with this and we'll get some more stuff over time. We have not gotten anything new. It still looks, honestly, it feels depressing now. It feels not like home should feel, because I'm always thinking like, well, what if we move? And that was our thought process when we first moved here. We were like, we were going to be here for 2 years and then we're going to go somewhere else. And I did the same thing when I was living in Prague too. I had planned on being there for a year, and then I was going to move to South Korea. And once I got to that year mark in Prague and I was like, oh, wow, I think I'm going to be here a bit longer, I painted my room and I made it cozier, and it was amazing. But I kind of put off decorating because it was like, well, what if? And we have really taken that far since being in Finland because the apartment looks like it does. One thing that I can do then to kind of anchor this idea of I live here and I don't need to stress about what's going to happen in 5 months is the truth of the matter is that we live in Helsinki today. What do we want our house to look like today? And if that means going and spending a bit of money to decorate and make it more homey, even if we take stuff off the walls 5 months from now because we have a new plan, then we can do that. I was just telling my mom, I've caught myself thinking, well, let me figure out what we're going to do in a year to decide if I should decorate today rather than decorate today, be okay with this being where we are. And then if in 1 year we move, then we move. So I've been trying to figure out our life plans before I've bought a pillow for the couch. So I've taken this pretty far. And I've been trying over the last couple of years to just allow myself to have 2 homes and be okay with not needing to choose and not needing to know where I'm going to be in 10 years. Both homes can coexist. Both versions of me can coexist. And trying to allow myself to enjoy this version of me and this version of where we are without feeling guilty that I'm not back home. I don't know. I'm just trying to embrace this as a part of who I am rather than it needing to be something that I fix. And fixing it in my mind, I think, has been understanding what my plan will be in 10 years. But the reality of it is, even if we said okay, this is what our plan is for the next 10 years, that can easily change tomorrow. I don't really know if it'll actually, I don't know if that's actually solving the problem. I think the main root of everything is, as an expat, just understanding that when home is in 2 places, learning not to spiral about it and just accepting where you are and living where you are today fully. And yeah, I think just accepting that this is life. The first time I ever experienced this feeling of loving 2 different places and feeling like I'm not fully myself anymore now that I've left that place was whenever 10 years ago when I was an au pair in Spain. When I left after just 6 months, I was like, I will never be the same. And that feeling has just grown and grown the longer that I've been away from home and the more versions of me I have left or created and taken with me in different places of the world. Okay, I think that's a good place to start to wrap up this episode because I feel a lot better than I did on Monday about it. I hope I was still able to touch on the points that I wanted to and that it all kind of, I don't know, I hope that it made sense. What I'm trying to get at is touch on the topic of home being 2 places and how that can lead to spiraling, but at the end of the day, trying to live for where you're at now. And just as expats, the various confusing thoughts that can come up and how in life, as you're living, little things can really throw you off balance as you're living abroad. So if you are living abroad or you're living far from home or you have felt some of the stuff that I have talked about and kind of tried to brain dump in this episode, I would love to hear from you. Would love to hear your story and just kind of connect over where these spirals can lead and what you do to stay grounded and live for where you are, because that can be really difficult, as I have just, seen throughout the last couple of weeks. But anyways, okay, so this will actually be out tomorrow. I've got a bit of editing to do today, and then I will see y'all next week.